All right, good evening. That's pitiful. All right. Vacation Bible School. Everybody say, "Aw." But it's okay because we got a lot of fun ahead of us tonight. We're going to have singing. We're going to learn at least 2 new songs tonight. We're going to learn 2 new songs tonight. And then we are going to have our last night of VBS. And then after that, we're going to have ice cream. And when I say ice cream, I mean lots of ice cream. Lots of ice cream. And then after that, we'll have a few awards. And then we're going to have the ultra, mega, fantastic, spectacular, out of this world, ear-destroying, brain-rattling fireworks. It's going to be lots of fun. All right. So, as we get started, if you will please help me welcome the one, the only, the handsome, the beautiful, the lovely Barry Kingsley on up to the front.
No! Take seats. Where's Gary at? Gary? Where's Gary? We don't want him standing up. We're going to take him back to the hospital. How many you got there, Jason? Did I mess you up? You going about 89, 90, 91? All right, here we go. What are we doing?
Wrap it up tight.
Gonna start out slow. Here we go.
Get back to my job.
I gotta get back to my job.
With my basketball in my hand.
With my basketball in my hand.
I'm gonna be like Michael Jordan.
I'm gonna be like Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
Chevy Vance.
Chevy Vance.
Pizza Man.
Pizza Man.
I'm gonna be a pizza man.
I'm gonna be a pizza man.
Hey, hey, Bo Diddley Bob.
Hey, hey, oh, Diddley Bob.
I've gotta get back to my job.
I gotta get back to my job.
With my red tape in my hand.
With my red tape in my hand.
I'm gonna be like Superman.
I'm gonna be like Superman.
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 Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
Chevy Vance.
Chevy Vance.
Pizza Man.
Pizza Man.
I'm gonna be a pizza man.
I'm gonna be a pizza man.
Hey, hey, Bo Diddley Bob.
Hey, hey, oh, Diddley Bob.
I've gotta get back to my job.
I gotta get back to my job.
With my Bible in my hand.
With my Bible in my hand.
I'm gonna be a Christian.
I'm gonna be a Christian.
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 Superman.
Superman.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
Chevy Vance.
Chevy Vance.
Pizza Man.
Pizza Man.
I'm gonna be a 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 pizza man.
Hey, there you go.
All right. We're going to learn a new song. I'm going to need some of my friends to come help me. I'm going to need Allie to come up. I'm going to need my friend Emily to come up. I'm going to need Madison. Okay, cool. Everybody say hey to Emily. Let's see, we need one more person. Alice. Come on up. Actually, I need Eleanor and Lydia too. Y'all all come up here. Yes. This song is called Fork in the Middle of the Road, okay? And so the chorus is really simple. It's to the tune of B-I-N-G-O. So it says, there's a fork in the middle of the road, there's a fork in the middle of the road, there's a fork in the middle of the road, oh, which way will you go? Oh. All right, think we get that? Okay, so it has different verses, and you're going to watch these guys, and they're going to show you the motions. Most of them are that have been singing it since they were little bitty kids. And so we're going to learn this song together. All right, ready? There's a fork in the middle of the road. There's a fork in the middle of the road. There's a fork in the middle of the road. Oh, which way will you go? Noah was a man on the post of train. He trusted in the Lord and saving grace. When the flood took away the human race, Noah was found in a safe, safe place. There's a fork in the middle of the road. There's a fork in the middle of the road. There's a fork in the middle of the road. Oh, which way will you go? David's brothers, just like Saul, drilled when they heard the giants fall. But they took a rock to make a lion fall. He trusted the king who was Lord of all. Fork in the middle of the road, there's a fork in the middle of the road, there's a fork in the middle of the road. Oh, which way will you go? Daniel was a man who always prayed. He trusted the Lord and never strayed. So the claws and the jaws of the lions were stayed. He trusted the Lord and it sure paid. There's a fork in the middle of the road. There's a fork in the middle of the road. There's a fork in the middle of the road. Oh, which way will you go? Oh. Jonah didn't do as God did wish. So the Lord sent a great big fish. He came on with a swish, swish, swish. And no Jonah became a tasty dish. Oh, there's a fork in the middle of the road. There's a fork in the middle of the road. There's a fork in the middle of the road. Oh, which way will you go? Oh, Jesus died on the cross. His mother cried at the loss. The devil tried to be the boss, but Jesus was the victor of the cross. There's a fork in the middle of the road. introduce you to another one of my friends that's here tonight. Mr. Nathan is going to teach us a song about Noah. If I give Mr. Nathan a hand.
I'm going to need everyone in the back rows to stand up. Everybody in the back rows to stand up. People who are adults don't do
stand up.
this. Everybody stand up. Come on. VBS is a church-wide thing. Here we go. Now, all the kids stand up. Everybody stand up. Right. So can you do this with your hands? All right. When you do this with your hands, that's a boat. All right. So I'm going to say it. You're going to repeat it. Okay. And then this is Noah. Noah. This is Noah. Okay. So do Noah. Noah. This is boat. That's boat. All right. This is Noah.
This is Noah.
This is his boat.
This is his boat.
Down came the rain.
Down came the rain.
And the boat did float.
And the boat did float.
And the people cried.
And the people cried.
And the people drowned.
And the people drowned.
But out walked Noah.
But out walked Noah.
On the dry ground.
On the dry ground.
All right, but that's easy enough, isn't it? That's not like 14,000 words. Okay, we're gonna do it again. Ready? All right, we know it now. I want to hear it sung real loud. All right. This is Noah.
This is Noah.
This is the boat.
This is the boat.
Down came the rain.
Down came the rain.
And the boat did float.
And the boat did float.
And the people cried.
And the people cried.
And cried some more.
And cried some more.
And the people drowned.
And the people drowned.
And out walked Noah.
Out walked Noah.
On the dry ground.
On the dry ground.
Be seated.
All right. Everybody tired yet? Good. Stand up again. Stand up again. All right. Let's see. I need Miss Lydia to come up here. And I need Lily T to come up here, please. All right. What does he say last night the biggest land mammal is? What's the second one? I don't know if that's true, but it sounds good. Okay, so somebody can ask the science teacher. So
No, it's a
hippo
T-Rex.
goes like this.
Okay, I'm a hippo.
All right, hippo.
Okay, so I'm a hippo.
So the hippo does like this,
I never
right?
wanted to be a hippo.
So who remembers this from last night? Remember it? All right, let's sing it together. We're gonna go kind of slow the first time.
It's good.
In the beginning, God made the seas. All right, everybody take a real deep breath. Hold it. Okay, ready? In the beginning, God made the seas and the forest, hills and trees and the mountains are so high. At the top, He placed the sky. Fingerprints are everywhere, just to show how much He cares. In the middle, He had some fun. Big hill that weighed a ton. Hip, hip, hippopotamus. Hip, hooray, God made all us. Hip, hip, hippopotamus. Hip, hooray, God made all us. Y'all know who will listen to this and listen to them coming to join you? Okay, all right. Ready? Fasting? Are they going to do it fasting? All right, hey, Glee, come on up.
Please no.
Help us do it fasting. All right, ready? In the beginning, God made the seas and the forest, hills and trees and the mountains are so high. At the top, He placed the sky. Fingerprints are everywhere, just to show how much He cares. In the middle, He had some fun. Hip, hip, hippopotamus. Hip, hip, hippopotamus. Hip, hooray, God made all us. Hip, hip, hippopotamus. Hip, hooray, God made all us. All right, great job. Go back and see. Joy, 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 joy.
Down in my heart.
1, 2, 3. Sing it, Jesus. Hold on. All right, here we go. Jonah, ready? 1, 2, 3. Here we go, ready? Who did? That hurts my ears. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Swallow Jonah. Well did swallow Jonah. We've been doing it for 8 nights. Y'all still can't figure that out. Okay. All right, everybody else, this is my favorite one now. Let's go.
We always have to stand. Can't we just sit?
All right, here we go. Y'all know what it is?
Yes.
What's the name of it?
If you have any
That's exactly right. All right, here we go.
Right. So, a couple of reminders really quickly. A couple of reminders. When our classes are over, we will head over into the fellowship hall and have ice cream. And so once that is over, we'll have, some cleaning up. We'll make our way back over here for a few awards. And then as soon as it starts to get dark, we'll have the fireworks. So hang out with us tonight. Nobody's got anything to do tomorrow.
You can't believe what we've got to sing. Oh my goodness, how can you forget Booster? It's been suggested that we do the Gilbert County Country Booster. Benjamin, you're the guy, you're the whatever it is, guy, judge. Y'all know what the Country Booster is? It's boost, something like that. And we got a yeehaw at the end. Here we go. Starting on this side. Shh. Y'all ready? Country Booster, y'all ready? Y'all ready? Everybody wait. It sure is good to see everybody out here. I'm going to tell you what. I hope y'all had as much fun as I have. Don't get used to it. I'm getting old. Lord have mercy. Hey, it's been a lot of fun. I think we need to do this about every 2 months. All right, here we go. Country Booster. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Exactly right. Yeah! All right.
All right, very quickly, we're going to dismiss. All right, so remember, tour guides, if you have someone who is new tonight, make sure they get their picture made out in the lobby. Leaving us first, headed to Philippi to see Lydia, and this is very, very appropriate tonight. Purple group, you're headed out first. Purple group, headed to see Lydia. Not you, Lydia. Not you. Go with Alice. All right, now headed to the city of Corinth. To the city of Corinth will be our red group. Our red group. Follow your tour guides to the city of Corinth. And now, headed to the city of Athens, the home of modern democracy and philosophy and Alexander the Great. Headed to the city of Athens is our green group. Green group. So where does that mean y'all are going? Do not pass go. Do not do any of those things. The blue group is headed to jail. Good luck. All right, adults that are staying in here, if you will do me the giant favor of moving to the middle, kind of back here where these folks are on this side, we're going to move the podium back that way. We'll have our adult class towards the back. So adults, if you'll move to the middle, back a few rows. Thank you. In accordance with our song, thank you. Thank you very much. Supposed to be two kids. Yeah. Oh, there we go. That's better. And so, yeah, she was a craftswoman, a tradeswoman, and really part of that society there. And she is the first convert there when Paul and Silas and Luke show up to Philippi. So, important story there. We spent some time talking about the plan of salvation and how it ties into that. And then, on Tuesday night, we learned a little more about Philippi. So, somebody tell me a little bit about the city of Philippi, maybe something we've learned. Okay, retired soldiers. It was a Roman colony, and it sort of turned into a place for retired soldiers to go and live. And so it was very much under Roman authority. But when you read about Paul and Silas being thrown into jail, I made the point, and I stand by this, what was the reason that they were thrown into jail? What was the god of Greco-Roman culture? It was money. They stopped the slave girl, or the people that owned the slave girl stopped being able to make money, and so Paul and Silas were thrown into jail. And as they're thrown into jail, we learn a little bit about what the prison would have been like. Not the way that we imagine American prisons. We talked a little bit about the comparison there, but a deep, dark dungeon. There would have been an outer layer of the prison for those criminals who, weren't as detestable, and then the inner dungeon where Paul and Silas would have been. They would have had their feet in stocks. What kind of men would have been jailers in the city of Philippi? Yeah, retired soldiers, tough, hardened, probably cruel men. And so I think that the story of the Philippian jailer's conversion is one of those stories, at least for me. The first place where I preached, as most of you know, was in Phoenix City, and it was right outside the gate of one of the largest military installations in the world. At one time, Fort Benning was the largest Army base. I think that maybe Fort Bragg or Fort Hood have overtaken it. But you meet a lot of people that are hardened and tough and are very resistant to the gospel. One of my favorite stories in ministry has been about my friend Rob, and I've shared this with some of you probably, but Rob was a soldier who had retired and was there, and his wife was a member of the church, and they were very faithful to come. She was very faithful, and her dad lived with them, but Rob was not a Christian, really had no interest. He sat there during church, sort of tuned out, and one day his wife asked me, hey, will you just try to study with him? And so we did. We started talking, and he shared the story that most soldiers share. I've just seen too much in war to ever think about the idea of God. And so we started at the very foundation. Well, which is more logical, that all of this happened, that that this just sort of came to be, it violated what we know to be the laws of nature and turned into this complicated earth, or that there is an intelligent creator in design. And he was an intelligent guy, so he sort of started there, and we built, and we studied once a week for, I don't know, what felt like forever, at least 6 months. And one Friday morning in my office, he said, I'm ready. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm ready to become a Christian. I'm ready to be baptized. And I said, do you want to call your wife? Nope, I want to do it right now. Do you have any clothes? Nope. So right there in nothing but his underwear, Rob was baptized. The only bare-chested baptism I've ever performed, I will say, but he gave his life to the Lord. And that's what I think about when I think about that story, right? This Philippian jailer who gave his life to Christ. And just a cool thing. And then Paul moves on from Philippi to the city of Athens. And you guys talked about Athens last night. Mike Underwood was here teaching that class. Who wants to share something maybe they learned in that discussion? It was a long discussion, I know, because when we were ready to go home, Mike was still in here talking. But we get our money's worth when we invite Mike. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's trying to teach about the one God, the unknown God. And I love, which was our memory verse for the tent over there in Acts chapter 17, I believe it's verse 28. For in him we live and move and have our being. And then he quotes a Greek poet. He says, as some of your poets have said, we are his offspring. And that's a great sermon, for in him we live and we move and we have our being. It's through God that we have that. And so he's teaching to the one true God. And so it's interesting, Paul and Silas here have started with a group of women. They've gone to a hardened soldier, and then they go to what has to be a very intimidating place. This would be the equivalent of us standing up in a room full of college professors, very educated people, and trying to preach. He's there in front of philosophers and mathematicians and government leaders. And we can look back to Greece, and we can see so many things that still shape our culture, American culture, the idea of democracy. And by the way, are we a true democracy? No. What are we? You can always tell the social studies teacher. Constitutional republic, that's right. We're a republic. But the foundational ideas of democracy come there. And every student, when they go through high school, still studies Greek philosophy, right? And so this is very influential, and these are the people that he's speaking to there. But then he moves in chapter 18. We're going to spend a few minutes tonight to the city of Corinth. The city of Corinth. What do we know about Corinth? What do you think? Okay, trade town. It is in Greece. It's in a separate province. It's in the province of Achaia. It has a lot of similarities to Athens. As a matter of fact, they have their own Olympics. the Corinthian games happened, and they were taken very seriously, and that's why Paul, when he was writing to them in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, starting in verse 24, remember he talks there about how we run to win a prize. So the Corinthians would have received not a medal, but this sort of crown, right, that they wore on top of their head to signify their winning, whether it was boxing matches or races or whatever sport it might have been. And he says we don't run to win a perishable crown, but to win an imperishable crown, and we ought to be running as the one who wants to win. Lots of different ideas and philosophies floating around there, but when we get to Corinth, and we'll talk a little bit more about the church there in a few minutes, when we get to Corinth, we almost immediately here in the story meet some new people. And there's a really cool intersection at the beginning of Acts chapter 18, if you have your Bibles, between what we know about biblical history and what we know about secular history. There's a huge intersection. So starting in verse 1, somebody if you would, read the first 4 verses nice and loud for us in Acts chapter 18.
After this, he left Athens and went to Corinth, where he found a Jewish man named Aquila, a native of Pontus, who had recently come from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because Claudius ordered all the Jews to leave Rome, all things to them, and seeing in the same occupation, stayed with them and worked. They were tenants by trade. He reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and tried to persuade both Jews and Greeks.
Okay, so a lot of cool things here. Let's talk about Aquila and Priscilla in a minute, but this event where Claudius expels all of the Jews from Rome is recorded for us in secular history. Several years ago, we did a study about apologetics on a Wednesday night. We spent, I think, like a year on it, going through and looking at some evidences, and one of these documents that we looked at talked about this event, if you remember that. But it says that there was a division that was happening between the Jews over a man named Christ. And it was, we assume, the spreading of the gospel and the message of Jesus being spread. And certainly Jews and Christians had disagreements. And so the emperor at that time, Claudius, gets tired of hearing about it. And so all Jews are expelled from Rome. And this of course, is a pretty interesting event. Right? Can you imagine if that happened in modern times? If the president called everybody to the Rose Garden and he said, starting tomorrow, all Muslims are banned from the United States. How would that go over? Yeah, it wouldn't go over well, right? It would with some people probably. But we as a country, based on religious freedom, that would be a huge infringement on the rights that we have granted to us in our Constitution. So certainly that wouldn't fly, but in ancient history it could. So they're all expelled. What do we know about this Emperor Claudius, by the way? We know about Claudius. He's a very interesting guy. So let's go through the history of the Caesars here for a second, if you remember your history class. So the first guy that is called Caesar is who? Well, before the guy that we know as Caesar, because you're right, but before that, Julius Caesar, right? Julius Caesar. He starts to centralize power, right, in Rome, and in 44 BC, what happens to him? He's assassinated. You think about things that live in our vernacular. What does it mean if a friend does something to you to hurt you? They did what? Stabbed you in the back. Guess where that comes from? From Caesar. And of course, it's his buddy Brutus and his friend Cassius that do that. And so in 42 BC, they go just down the road to the city of Philippi. They have the Battle of Philippi, and it is Mark Antony, not the guy that was married to Jennifer Lopez, but Mark Antony, who was not married to, but dated Cleopatra. He and Octavian, who later becomes Caesar Augustus, they defeat Brutus and Cassius, and they go on. And of course, Octavian eventually ends up beating Mark Antony, and he becomes Caesar. He is the one who takes on the title of Caesar. He takes on all of the titles that will centralize that. And he is a beloved figure in Rome. He walks down the streets, right, and is and is just absolutely adored by everyone. And he reigns for a long time. He's very prominent. I don't have it pulled up, but I think that he reigns for like almost 40 years. I don't want to tell you wrong. So from 27 BC until 14 AD. Somebody can do the math on that, but that's, 41 years that he reigns. And so he's very successful, right? And there is going to be, as there always is, a power vacuum. And so after him, the next guy is a guy whose name is also mentioned in the Bible. As a matter of fact, there's a body of water named after him. Anybody know who I'm talking about? We know of the Sea of Galilee, right? Yeah, it is Tiberius. And so Tiberius is the next Caesar, and he reigns until 37 AD and is largely successful as well. But then there's the guy that comes after him. It's this guy that when he was young, he used to run around and play with all the soldiers, and they gave him a nickname. And his nickname was Little Boots. But that, in the Roman language, was Caligula. What do we know about Caligula? Yes, married his horse. Lots of other really, really insane, crazy things. And he was assassinated by his own soldiers. He was assassinated by his own soldiers. So now, you've gone from Augustus Caesar, who reigns for 41 years of peace and prosperity, to Caligula, who's an absolute nut and who's assassinated by his own soldiers. And so these soldiers are thinking, we can't have another power-hungry, crazy man as the emperor. And so as they're leaving, they find this guy hiding behind a great curtain, a big piece of drapery in the castle, in the palace. And he's shaking and trembling, and they pull it back, and it's it's Claudius. Claudius is Caligula's uncle. And there's lots of different theories about this, but he had some sort of physical, and at that time they thought intellectual disability. There have been some that have said it could have been cerebral palsy, could have been any number of illnesses. But what we know now from looking back is that he was probably, whatever disease he had, he was exaggerating it just a bit. Now, why would you exaggerate a physical and intellectual disability if you're in this position? What do you think? What's that? Don't expect much of you. I think it's even simpler than that. He wanted to stay alive. If people are getting assassinated around you left and right because if you're a threat to their power and you're in that line of succession, right, you want to stay alive. So Claudius wants to stay alive. But so the soldiers gather around him and they say Imperator, right? They give him the title of Caesar. He is going to lead, and they think, all right, he'll never do anything. But as it turns out, he turned out to be a pretty good emperor. He was in charge of a lot of building projects, saved up a lot of money. He actually went and conquered, in 43 AD, Britain. He led the military endeavor to conquer Britain. And so it turns out he was very much underestimated. He turns out to be a pretty good emperor. He's going to rule for 13 years from 41 to 54 AD. And it's Claudius who expels all the Jews. Now, Claudius had a little bit of a problem and a little bit of a weakness. Anybody want to guess what it was? It's a weakness that a lot of powerful men have. Yeah, that's a good guess. And so it was his fourth wife, a lady by the name of Agrippina, who married Claudius, and Claudius adopted her son. His name was Nero. And guess what happened shortly after that? Claudius died of a mysterious illness, probably poisoned by his own wife. You think your wife is mean, right? Poisoned by his own wife, and that's when Nero becomes Caesar, and we know about Nero and what he did in 64 AD with the Christians there at Rome. And so we know who Claudius is, and it's a cool intersection, and there's so many details we could talk about. I teach my middle schoolers every year about the Caesars, and we start all the way with Julius Caesar and go all the way to really the year of the 4 emperors. And we sort of look at all these different characters, and they're fascinated by it. They're terrified by it, but they're fascinated by it. And it's an interesting sort of intersection there between these two things. So because of Claudius, who's got all these other things going on, he just decides the Jews are a headache, let's get them out of Rome. So Aquila and Priscilla make their way to Corinth, and about that time Paul shows up as well, and they have something in common. And what is it that they share in common besides being Christians? Their occupation. Now, I'll admit I've never really thought much about this, but I did a little bit of research on this. What was a tent maker like in the first century? A tent maker. Sounds pretty simple, right? But if you and I want to get a tent, first off, how many of you have stayed in a tent in the last 10 years? Really? Okay, I'm proud of you. Most people now, when they consider camping, right, it's a camper that's nicer than your house, or have y'all heard of glamping? Where are the Kingsleys at? They go glamping, right? You go glamping. What is glamping? Yeah, right. It's a hotel and a big fancy tree house, and you've got Starbucks delivered on DoorDash. Right? That's not camping. Camping is staying out in the woods, sleeping on the ground. Now I'll tell you, I'm not sleeping on the ground anymore. My back is getting too old for that. But maybe you sleep on a cot or some kind of blow-up mattress, and you're there. And if a bear comes, you just die. That's a risk you take, right, if you stay in a tent. But we go to Walmart, right, and we go to the camping section, and we get a tent, and we go, and you don't even have to use, when I was a kid, you had to get all the poles out. Now they have just easy pop-up. There it is, right? It's a tent. Well, they didn't have those things in the first century. Sam Walton had not yet invented Walmart in the first century. And so how do you think they made tents? Okay, yeah, animal skins. One of the things, the most popular one they used was a goat. And it was a particular black goat. And if you could get your hands on that, that was the most popular thing to make out of that goat skin. What else do you think they would have made tents out of back then? Canvas, yeah, another popular thing. What else? What would you think would be the most durable material to make anything out of? Yeah, leather, absolutely leather. And so I think it's interesting to make these things. You have to be somebody that's very skilled at putting together, pieces of fabric from wherever you can get them. And a lot of you ladies especially, you know how to work the sewing machine with the pedal. I've never used a sewing machine before. I'm going to guess Paul didn't have Singer back then though, right? So everything is probably, hand stitched, right? And so probably what we're talking about here is Paul, when he goes from place to place, in addition to going and speaking at the Sabbath every week, on Monday through Friday, he is out and he is in an open air marketplace, and he is selling his wares, for lack of a better term, and he's there selling tents. Probably more than that, he's probably repairing tents and patching them and doing all that. Now, I want you to think, if your only shelter is a tent, it's probably important to find the best tent maker, right? Anybody ever had a leak in their tent? That will ruin your trip. Ruin your trip on it. Nice. You remember the rains came down? Or even Nathan taught us, and the people drown, right? If the flood comes. But so Paul, when he finds Aquila and Priscilla here, I think it's so cool, and I think we talked about the other day, God's providence. I think it's certainly providential that Aquila and Priscilla here meet Paul, and they not only are doing ministry together, but they're doing their Monday through Friday together. And I can just imagine Paul and Aquila and Priscilla, and by the way, they're a missionary husband and wife team. If anybody ever says the Bible looks down on women, does it ever say Aquila and then Priscilla? Oh, it points them and paints them as equals. Aquila and Priscilla working together to accomplish these things, and I think that's really, really cool. Let's talk a little bit about what we know that gets away from this text, and then there's one more thing I want to look at before we get done. What do we know about the church at Corinth from what we read in the epistles? Yeah, a lot of problems with man, he's so loud. A lot of problems with everything, right? As a matter of fact, that whole first letter to the Corinthians is addressing the problem. What it seems like happened is there was a letter sent to Paul saying, Paul, these are all the problems that are happening in the church, right? And Paul in 1 Corinthians addresses those. And he's pretty hard on them. He's pretty hard on them. Some other things we can know about Corinth is it probably did not have what? As far as leadership. Probably didn't have elders. We don't read anything anywhere about elders. And that's probably one of the reasons Paul had to deal with those things. What are some other problems that they had to deal with that we know of? What do you think? What's the big one that we know about that Paul really chastised them for? Sexual misconduct, yeah. He says, I can't believe it. There is a man who has taken his father's wife. Some people have taken that to mean it was an incestuous relationship. I don't think that's what it's talking about at all. You have to remember in this culture that women typically died young. And then you had a lot of older men who, well, the one wife is gone. Let me go back to these high school age girls. And at that time, it was just part of culture. And so you married somebody who was younger. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the term Corinthian girl was synonymous with prostitute. That's why we read in the Corinthian letter that the women in church wore what? Or the Christian women all the time wore what? Yeah, head coverings. And this wouldn't have been the doily, this would have been a full veil, because to show your face was a sign of availability in the same way that a low-cut dress might be today, right? So there was a lot of cultural issues. There was sexual sin, right? We talked about the older man marrying the younger woman. By the way, guess who else that probably was true about in the Bible? An older man that had married a younger woman. Joseph and Mary, absolutely. People go, where's Joseph in the rest of the Bible? Probably was an older man, and he's dead, right? He's gone. And so we probably are dealing with that situation. It's probably a stepmother, but regardless, this is a really bad situation. And Paul says, I can't believe y'all are letting that go on in church, right? We've got the meat offered to idols, the head coverings, right? All these issues. And we know that Paul wrote at least 2 letters to the Corinthian church. And I think we can safely argue that he wrote at least 3, because there's what he mentions once, as we sort of know as the lost letter. And some scholars have even argued that he probably wrote 4, but we only have, for our records, 2 letters, 1st and 2nd Corinthians. But one of my favorite letters in all the Bible to study is 2 Corinthians. Because after Paul is really, really tough on them in his first letter, what is 2 Corinthians like? What do you think? Somebody loving? What else? Sorry. Forgiving, right? It's a treatise in some ways on repentance. I love chapter 7 where it says, I wrote to you and it broke my heart, but it led you to godly sorrow, which led to repentance, which led to change. I love it. I love chapters 4 and 5 where he talks about heaven, right? The things that you're going through now, those are temporary, but we keep our eyes on the eternal. And I long to leave this tent behind so that I can be with you, for we walk by what? And not by sight, right? That's all in 2 Corinthians. In chapter 12, Paul tells us about his trip to heaven, right? And so it's just such a cool letter. And so they have a very interesting relationship. But it's that theme that's going to lead us here, and we've only got about 5 minutes left, to the last thing that I want to look at, starting in verse 18. And so there's a lot of other things we can say. We meet some other characters in here, right? We meet a guy named Crispus, who's the leader of the synagogue, and his house is converted. It says many of the Corinthians heard and believed and were baptized. He gets a vision there. We learn about Gallio, who's the proconsul of Achaia. And we can talk more about that another time, about what a proconsul was. But Paul is going to leave. And when he leaves Aquila and Priscilla behind. And I mentioned to you, I think it's so cool that they linked up in their ministry so similar, because Paul has to chastise and correct the Corinthians. Well, guess what? Aquila and Priscilla are going to have to do the same thing here. Now, I've been preaching, this is year number 16 or 16 or 17. If you go back and think about it, that I've had in ministry. These are not fun conversations to have. When you are put in a position, and I'm thankful that we have a church with elders because that's largely their job. But guess what? Preacher usually gets dragged into it too, right? And so you have to sit somebody down and say, hey, let's talk about this. And it's not a chastisement. That's a bad word to use. It's a discussion, right? A correction. Well, Aquila and Priscilla are going to have to do the same thing with a guy who's arguably more eloquent and more effective than they are. And that's Apollos. So it says here, starting in verse 18, Paul stayed on in Corinth for some time, and he left the brothers and sisters and sailed for Syria, accompanied by Priscilla and Aquila. Before he sailed, he had his hair cut off at Cenchrea because of a vow he had taken. They arrived at Ephesus, where Paul left Priscilla and Aquila, and he himself went into the synagogue and reasoned with the Jews. They asked him to spend more time with them. He declined, and it goes on to tell the story. But they're going to meet this guy here named Apollos. Now, they've left Corinth, but they've sort of taken on the mission for Paul. And Paul's going to leave as well, and he's going to head back where? Where's Paul's home base? Remember? Yes, Antioch in Syria. That's his home base. But he's going to leave Aquila and Priscilla here, and Apollos is going to come. Starting in verse 24. Meanwhile, a Jew named Apollos, a native of Alexandria, came to Ephesus. He was a learned man with a thorough knowledge of the Scriptures. He'd been instructed in the way of the Lord, and he spoke with great fervor and taught about Jesus accurately, though he only knew the baptism of John. He began to speak boldly in the synagogue. And when Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they invited him to their home and explained to him the way of God more adequately. He was standing up and teaching not false doctrine, but incomplete doctrine. Incomplete doctrine. Now, let's fast forward to the year 2025. Guest preacher comes in, or your own preacher, standing up, preaches something that is incorrect. How many of us would feel comfortable going up and correcting him? That's good to know, Clay. Thank you. Janita, I have no doubt. Barry. But yeah, or going up. I miss Miles Peoples sometimes. Miles didn't do it sometimes. He did it every Sunday. Every Sunday. No matter who the preacher was. And it wasn't an interrogation, but a discussion, right? So Aquila and Priscilla, they go up to him. How do you think that would be received? Let's be honest. How would that be received by most modern preachers? Listen here, let me pull out a picture of my degree. I went to Harding School of Religion. Where did you go? I've got a PhD and MAT and an ABC and an LMNOP, right? I've got all those things, and how could you, it wouldn't be received well. It says here, Apollos is an educated man. He's from Alexandria. What's Alexandria known for? Having a bunch of what? A bunch of books, right? A bunch of books. And, this is where intelligent people would have come from, and they correct him. But I love this whole idea of how to handle difficulty and conflict. What does it say they did? They confronted him right as he came out of the pulpit, right? Yeah, that's right. They stood up on the pew. They threw their songbook at him, actually, right? What does it say they did? I'm going to tell you this. Conversations around a kitchen table are much more conducive to change and to better behavior than confrontations around a bunch of people or in a church building or anywhere else. There's a reason that you'd rather have a conversation with a kid in a lunchroom than in the principal's office, right? And so they invite him to their home. They don't correct him. They explain the way of God more adequately. They lovingly corrected him. And we know that Apollos went on to be a great preacher. Some people have even said he's the author of Hebrews. And so I think it's a great lesson that they learned from Paul about how to handle conflict and how to correct in a loving, gentle way. All right. That's the whole second missionary journey in a week. You made it, right? You made it. Of course, we know the third missionary journey is going to start here pretty soon, and chapter 19 is pretty wild. If you want to go and read it. But I want to challenge you to do this. If you've got kids or grandkids that are back there at VBS, I want you to ask them about this stuff. Ask them who Lydia was and what she did for a living and how she became a Christian. Ask them about the Philippian jailer. I got to play Silas last night in the jail skit over there, and we got to ask the kids some questions, and we got to shake them really hard for the earthquake thing, which was a lot of fun. Ask them about that. Ask them what happened. Ask them how the chains were broken. Ask them all those things. Ask them about Athens and what happened there and who was there. Ask them about Haley Wilson's playing a Greek goddess over there. Ask them about the culture. Ask them about what happened at Corinth and who Aquila and Priscilla are, so that they can learn and know those things. I was sitting with Nora over there earlier, and Barry was doing his usual routine about Jonah. She knows every word. She knows when to be quiet. She knows when to say it. And she's 5. And so if we can instill these messages in them now, one day, not too long from now, they'll be the adults sitting in class with your grandkids, and some of you your great-grandkids, and some of you your great-great-grandkids if you live a few years longer. So just be thinking about that. All right, any questions or comments before we go eat ice cream? That was a bad way to phrase that. Nobody wants to say anything. All right, thank you for being here this week. A few things about Sunday announcement-wise before we close out in prayer. Sunday, of course, we'll have our normal services in the morning. And then it's a continuation of our summer series. One of my favorite preachers is going to be here. Harold Savage is going to be with us from Snellville. And Harold always does a great job. And so try to be back at 6 o'clock for that if you can. Remember that Saturday morning we are going to be floating the river. We're going to meet here at the building at 10 o'clock if you want to. We'll take the van up, or if you just want to meet us up there, it's Toccoa River Tubing Company. You can meet us there around 10:45, 11, and we'll float the river together and probably go eat lunch after that. It'll be lots of fun. And it is a weather pending. If there's a tornado, we won't be floating the river. That's common sense, I think. But just be paying attention to everything for that. All right. If you would, let's all bow our heads and we'll close out with a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for our lives. We thank you for everybody in this room. We thank you for our children and our grandchildren who have been here for VBS. And Lord, we know it's a success because your word is being taught. We're thankful for the visitors we've had this week. We just pray, Lord, that you will help us to be able to impact this community and show the world who you are. We're thankful that Paul, all those years ago, left his life behind, a life of ease and wealth and being part of the Jewish elite. And he sacrificed everything, his physical well-being, his wealth, even food in his belly and living conditions. He sacrificed that all to follow you. Help us to have